have an introduction, a second, to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the November 10th, 12th, 18th, 19th, 24th, and 25th meeting, and place them on file. Salon, first reference. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Copy of committee reports are posted on the city website. Can I have an introduction, a second? On and all in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we have a number of communications. And I have a introduction second to receive the communication from Lola and perfect. All in favor, signify by saying aye. One opposed. So we're going to have two quick presentations. Aware that the selection committee for the Dunn Warehouse has selected brewery, but in the interest of openness, we'll also get a short presentation from the number 2 proposal. So, and then of course next month, the council will be voting on whether the proposal. So first up are the, I don't know, we have a nation votes, it's Caitlin Baida and Dan.
To go over here, stand here.
Both.
This one, right?
Yes.
No.
Council members, President DiPietro, and the community. The selection committee, as you know, has selected our proposal for Dunn Warehouse as the runner-up brewing company. If the Common Council doesn't approve their proposal, or the proposal doesn't move forward for any reason, we are honored to be considered by the Common Council to revitalize this important historic structure. We're here today to present an alternative vision for the future of Hudson Waterfront. We are in love with the building and excited about what it could be, and we're invested in the long-term future of the waterfront. Our vision is for a healthy, vibrant, and diverse waterfront for all, with Dunn serving as a welcoming community hub. There are already so many incredible activities that occur on our beloved Hudson waterfront, and we believe the success of the waterfront's future depends on a fair and equitable access and use of Dunn Warehouse. Next slide. So our plan is similar to the plan that my previous team developed for the waterfront for Dunn Warehouse. It would be a commercial event space in the south section of the building, and then commercial tenant spaces on the north section of the building. One of them would be a food and beverage, and there would be associated exterior programming space. The event space is programmed to have a certain number of private events per year that are meant to offset private events, or to offset the cost for public events. And this space would be offered basically at little to no cost for throughout the year to ongoing community programming. The main idea is that the waterfront is for everyone, it should be accessible for everyone, and that there needs to be a flexibility and overlapping uses for multiple types of events to occur on the waterfront. Keep going. And so the idea here is that for exterior programming, we have like a food area that would bleed to the outside. We have some kind of outdoor amenity space, which we have a number of ideas and have done extensive community engagement on what that could be. And you could see a little bit more on the next slide. Some type of play garden or educational garden space. And then the south section would be more reserved for the event space that's associated on the south section. This is just an exterior rendering, and these are just some ideas, and we'll send through this presentation so you have access to it, but I want to keep moving. So here is an example of how the exterior section on the north could be programmed. You could have anything from a splash pad and an amphitheater to an ice rink, the play garden that I mentioned before, and then these pre-function outdoor gathering and event porch spaces. Really, the idea is that, you know, we want it to be accessible to all the different types of communities, especially the communities, the housing communities like Bliss Towers, the Schulerport apartments, and the Hudson Terrace apartments that are within a walking distance to the waterfront, because that can be a place that a lot of children will go, a lot of people will walk to from the downtown Hudson area. And it really should be a space for all ages, from that can serve children, that can serve adults, families, elders, and not be limited to a specific population. And also, there's aspirations to connect to what's already happening and planned for the Henry Hudson Riverfront Park, like what's called out in the LWRP, as well as the assemblage plan for the revitalization of and rehabilitation of the waterfront. Here, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge like some of the reservations of the selection committee. And, at first I want to just address and acknowledge the failure of my previous team, Done and Done, to complete the development as planned. Basically, one of the largest roadblocks of the previous plan was that under the leasehold structure, we were not able to finance the project or secure financing as a leasehold and not as an owner of the building. And so we kept running into roadblocks with financing. We put an extensive amount of time and effort into that plan in terms of due diligence, reports, concept design, onboarding of all our consultants, and really engaging the community and getting people involved and excited about building momentum towards a waterfront that was a shared vision for everybody. But because of that financing roadblock, unfortunately, the project, we had to remove ourselves from the lease. And so the city decided to reissue the RFP, and because I believe in the project, I believe in this vision, I decided to continue to pursue this and bring on a new partner, Ben, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. And yeah, maybe Ben can speak a little bit about your motivations and interest in this project.
Yeah, it's hard to add to that because it's really good. I just fell in love with Caitlin's vision for the Dun. Care a lot about what happens to the waterfront, and this clearly would have a enormous impact. It is an amazing thing that Hudson has. Its access to the water is very unique. So I was just very excited to be a part of it, and happened to be a spoiled nice guy that can fund something like this. So it was a little bit of a privilege to get to be a part of it. And I know we're runner up, so if anything happens to their project, we're ready to go.
To add to that, obviously, you have a vested interest in the waterfront, you really care about what's going on down there, and you have experience with developing historic structures.
All very true.
So the idea is that this proposal will build on the best parts of the previous proposal, but in a way that is taking those learnings, applying it, and actually making it more feasible, because it's the financial structure is completely different this time. I know another concern that I wanted to speak to was the concern about the public events or the private events, taking away the Dunn warehouse at certain times for the public. And the idea is that our performa calls for like max 24 peak private events per year. And the idea is that this could range for anything from fundraisers for local organizations to weddings to events for, even the Hudson Fire Department or something like that. But the goal of the private events is really to like financially offset the operations for the private use or the public use of this building. And so it's crucial to note, that the private events come first, and then the idea is that we'll be blocking off specific dates with the city in collaboration and communication of like things like, Flag Day, obviously, certain festivals, Latinx Festival, Black Arts Festival, the LGBTQ Parade, Waterfront Wednesdays. So we want to like carve out peak dates for the Dunn warehouse use. And then anything after that, the remaining dates, we will, fill in to meet our minimum required to like meet our financial goals for making this building operable for the greater public. And I think we can, another concern also is around project readiness and timeline and construction timeline. So I think one of the ways that we can address that, you can keep going. Is that because we're adopting a similar plan and approach to the previous project, we've already completed essentially like 6 months of our construction timeline. And, maybe this is not as much going to be part of the other plan, but we put a significant time and energy into community engagement, into due diligence. We wanted to make sure this project is done right. And so we've already completed this whole list, phase 1 environmental study, structural assessment report, civil survey and study, concept design package by WXY Architects, 3D modeling of existing conditions, construction cost estimation, our development budget, capital stack, which we're gonna be adjusting, obviously. We have existing relationships with ESD, who is the administrator of the Restore grant. We've done our historic phase on reporting, to verify eligibility for historic tax credits, which will be one of the financing mechanisms. We have our construction schedule and SOP, and again, an extensive community engagement that has over 100-page report. And we've onboarded all of our primary design professionals and consultants, including our historic tax credit consultants. And we've also created a plan for how the Dunn Warehouse could support and benefit from the development community pool, which we received a grant for last year with the New York State SWIFT program. And we are no longer, that's no longer part of our proposal, but there's a potential idea that maybe we could develop an adjacent site into a pool if that was something the community wanted. Next slide. These are just images from some of the community engagement. We were at most Waterfront Wednesdays. We hosted our own events. We hosted a Joy Day. We brought on local performers and collaborators. We offered a lot of food and resources, and these are just some of the things. There's a report that's been published that says, what people want to see at the waterfront, what kind of programming they want to see in the event space. Yeah, and a lot of it is geared around fitness, wellness, dance classes, supporting local organizations, performances, live music, interactive art, theater, education, and waterfront education specifically as well. And so here's our project schedule. Can dig into it more, but previously it was a 30-month schedule. Now, because we did this work, the 24-month schedule. Keep going. And then these are just our sources and uses, which our financing is mainly going to be, from equity, the Restore grant, a New York National Grid grant, and historic tax credits, and potentially a CPACE loan. And it's a project cost of about $4.2 million. And this is our team. And then these are the consultants that we've onboarded, or that we've previously been working with. Thank you for your time, and we'll send this along. Really appreciate the consideration.
It's on the website.
Yeah.
Okay,
great.
Council members, questions?
I have a question. I just one question. When you are having private events, these might be 11, whatever, where it's a one-day event. Your design for the building is that there would be waterfront type commercial, say maybe kayak rentals, whatever, cafe, that sort of thing. Would they accessible to the public during a private event?
I think the goal is to maintain, it's okay. The goal, to keep some of that north section available, and so that we are kind of creating the south section of the private event space so that we can carve out using landscaping and other ways to kind of shield the two activities from each other, so we could keep it.
So the fact that you have in your proposal, I believe you had 24 peak month events. That's your estimate. That would not prevent members of the public from utilizing the space or the building, even though you had an event going on. Because when I was looking at that, I'm thinking, okay, that's pretty much every weekend during the summer. Right?
And the goal is that there still will be access to some section of the north part of the building and exterior space during those events.
So if you're doing kayak rentals, that would still go on during those events.
That's correct. And yeah, to your point, we are interested in, partnering with Hudson Paddles or Sleep Club or other waterfront organizations that are already there.
That would still be ongoing.
Yeah.
But
And I think if there is a, large, the city throws large events, and that would take precedent no matter what, so it's not like we would.
But I'm just thinking specifically of, are we looking at a situation where there's gonna be every weekend during the summer an event, which would then preclude the members of the public from accessing it, but it does not seem that that is the case. That you would have these events in that carved out area, and then all of the other things would still be going on at the same time.
Yes.
That was my only question.
I have a question. So how much is there in need of event spaces in our city? Have you done the inventory of how many spaces there are, and will this be competing with the Bush?
I'm of the opinion that a rising tide raises all ships. So when there's more event spaces, there's more events, is my opinion. So that's how I've seen it. And we have, it's also it's a different kind of thing than anything else I see anywhere else. It's nothing quite like this. So it has a unique quality to it, but also there's lots of different kinds of events. So often people think events are weddings. I call them love ceremonies, but a lot of what Caboose does, for example, is we do fundraising galas, we do corporate events, we do we get all kinds of different vendors who are we do real estate fair, we do a holiday, we're doing a
So
holiday.
you're busy around the clock, I mean, you have,
Yeah,
what's your
And
goal?
it's just amazing the kind of variety of people who need space to do things. There's a lot of activity up there, so I think there's lots of room. I think you could prove that if we needed to.
There's, if I can comment, there's a lot of event space already and more coming on board, but there are also more hotels coming on
Yeah.
board as well. And that's the relationship there.
Okay, let's, move along, since this was not the written proposal, let's hear from, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Thank you.
Let's hear from, Hudson Burn. You can view both proposals online, but one fact that is not included is the price being offered, because that's not public knowledge yet. It will be, I guess, after the final vote. But that has factored into this considerably. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to start my proposal with an apology. I did not realize we would have such robust AV, so you guys just have to listen to me talk. And thank you all so much for letting us be here. My name is Caitlin Armacita. I'm one of the operators of Hudson Brewing Company. I have with me William Tebow, who's the owner, and we also have with us representatives Liam Betts and Tyler Thompson. They're from Arkell Murray. If this proposal does go through, we've selected Arkell Murray to be our proposed design and build partner. I will also say I do have some old school papers. I created a couple of one-sheeters here along with our project timeline that I think hits all of the major points of the proposal we submitted. But of course, today I'm gonna briefly go through our submission with you guys with a particular emphasis on the way that I think our submission it will benefit the city of Hudson and also activate the waterfront space as a year-round civic space. So obviously at the core, everyone's read it, I assume the core of our proposal is that we would like to move and expand our operations from our current location, which is located in the Antiques Warehouse, just across the parking lot, basically, and thinking about what that would look like, she started with the question of how can we, in this design and in this process, create a space that positively impacts daily life in the city, and then also particularly on the waterfront. So we kind of came up with a design that encompasses three things. The first is an expansion of our current food program to create something that resembles more of a traditional restaurant model than like a bar. The goal to that being to create a space that is really welcoming and accessible to everyone, regardless of age and regardless of whether or not you choose to drink alcohol. The second piece is creating a separate space for a production facility. And the third, and in my opinion, most important, is the creation of an ADA compliant second story area that's totally private and separate from the tap room, whose whole intention is to be used for community and private events. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. We consider our community work really to be the core of what we do. It's not something that we have a ton of flags about. It's just, we feel that it's important for a business and a town to take care of the place that it resides, right? So we sort of joke, and maybe you've seen it in our advertising, that our unofficial model is workhouse meets community. And we truly, truly mean that. We've been in business for 10 years, and throughout that 10 years, we have built long-standing relationships with, just about every nonprofit in and around the town. And consistently host events with the purpose of uplifting and supporting their work. in the interest of time, I'll just give a few examples that are relevant right now, obviously for holiday season. We just did a ton of local toy drives supporting local youth and kids in the Hudson City School District. We have an event actually coming up next weekend supporting Hudson Family Reunion. Before the holidays, we did an event with Operation Unite and with the Hudson Rotary Club to fund their work and also to purchase new equipment for local fire EMS. And honestly, I could pull up a calendar and we could just keep going. We do something probably every month and always, again, with the goal, like I said, of supporting those organizations that are taking care of our neighbors, because that's what matters most to us. And many of, it's also important to note probably that many of these organizations are already hosting events on the waterfront. So having that space will hopefully help us just build that programming and support the community even.
Okay.
The other thing that I think I'm especially excited too is the opportunity to develop partnerships with businesses whose goal is to help build recreational on the water. Obviously, Hudson Paddles comes to mind right away because they're basically sitting on the property already and we know those guys and they're great. But really we'd be open to having conversations with just about anybody, you know, whether it's ice cream or another food vendor or really anything, but whose purpose is to just really create the waterfront as like a very welcoming and warm place for everyone in our community. I will also say that with regards to recreation, part of our design does include the addition of pending city approval, of course, of new sidewalks and also parking. The goal obviously being to make the space as accessible to people as possible. Those would obviously be integrated into the design, which prioritizes respecting and restoring the historical integrity of the building. In the plan that we set forward, obviously we talked all about like the importance of repurposing the some of the materials that are already there as much as possible. And of course, anything that's new, you know, I'm thinking like light fixtures and landscaping and all that super exciting stuff that everyone loves to talk about, would be designed to feel like integrated within the park space. We sort of joke that we think of this building as sort of like the front porch to the waterfront park. And that's like a really hopefully lovely year-round complement to the park's outdoor activities. The other, I guess, the only other thing, like I said, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but there are some civic and economic benefits additionally that I think are important to talk about. Local job creation, obviously, like the first one that comes to mind. We are in business already. We are a small business. We have currently 10 employees. Hopefully with this expansion, we would get to grow. And the other thing I'll just say on that is that we, we've been doing this for 10 years. All of our employees, except for one, live within 10 minutes of Hudson. Half of them, including the owner, were born and raised here. It's hard to get a more local business, I think, in a community like ours, and we hope to be able to keep supporting that as much as we can. The other thing I think, again, is just like creating the physical connection between the waterfront space as it exists now and the other commerce in the area. Obviously, we're down there. We see how people move in the space every day. Unfortunately, it does sometimes feel like that waterfront can be a little bit cut off from the other things that are going on. And our hope is that one of the benefits of this project will be to like connect those two spaces in a way that feels really like cohesive and organic. And then the last piece that I'll note on, which is an economic one that matters probably the most, is the additional tax revenue. We are not asking for a pilot with this project. It seems silly to me to stand up here and keep the drum of like community development for the last 5 minutes and then take a building off of the city's tax roll. That is not our intention at all. In fact, we want to add on to it. And so I guess I'll just wrap up. I'll just wrap up by saying that obviously we're not traditional developers. Maybe for some people that was a little bit of a red flag, but we feel confident in our ability to execute this project. One, because we think that it's a model that works. We've been doing this, we've been growing consistently over the last decade. We think that the thing we're doing seems to be, it seems to be getting the job done. The other thing is that the scale of this project, in our opinion, matches the scale of our business. And ideally, what we'd like to do in working with the city and partnering on this is to be able to be a model for what a mission-driven business can do in a community like this. So I'll wrap it up because anybody wants to throw anything in with just saying, obviously, thank you guys so much for this opportunity. We've had, we're so grateful to be here and for the process that's brought us this far. So unless any of my team has anything to add, we'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you, Kate.
Was that too
Well, you're talking way too much.
fast?
So obviously, the space will cover your current operations. How far in the future will it cover? I mean, can it cover 50% additional growth?
They cover 75% additional growth.
Okay, and you're recognizing that and you're good with it, and
Yeah.
75% growth is pretty good.
I think.
So since we're not gonna be voting for this, I mean, the new council will vote for this. Do they have to do the presentation again?
No. It's all, it's all.
On the website, so it's
It's all good.
some of them are here already.
In fact, I see one here. So there's only one new person not here.
Yeah.
There's a, question online. Ron, do you have questions? Ron Kutnicki?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. First of all, I would like to know the panel that responded to the responses to the RFPs. When and where did they meet?
I can't recall actually. Let's see, Margaret, do you recall? It was online.
If I had my calendar, I could. We had to have our scoring in last Wednesday, whatever date that was. And then we met Thursday or Friday of the week before. That was our second meeting where we had interviews with the candidates. And then prior to that, about a week or 10 days before that, we met to review all of the applications before selecting the candidates for interview.
Okay, so then
I don't think-
the decision that was made approximately when?
I don't know, Ron, when that decision was made. We submitted our scores. So after we submitted our scores, there was no additional meeting of the committee. So I have no idea how anybody else scored the applications.
Within the last week?
Within the last
Yeah,
week,
the scores were submitted last week, but there was no subsequent meeting where the committee came together and said, okay, here's the scores. This is how many people voted this way or that. I found out that the committee was recommending what I was recommending, the same way everybody else did.
We'll have those
Okay.
scores posted. at some point.
Are there records or minutes of your deliberations?
No.
I'd like to direct this question to council, to Ms. Peck.
Actually,
since-
no, I don't think that's really appropriate.
Well, I'll direct, then I'll,
First of
if
all,
I can,
this is not
I can,
a
I'll
real estate
direct it
transaction.
to you
Ron,
then.
hold on a second. A real
Yeah.
estate transaction is not covered by the, I mean, it is covered by the open meetings law. You do not have to have an open meeting when there's a real estate transaction involved.
Okay, my question to the council is if the position of the city is that these meetings were not subject to the open meetings law, I would like to hear the reasoning for that.
Just told you. It's covered. It
So
says-
you're giving
No,
me,
I'm telling you, Ron, if you read the open meetings law,
okay,
you'll
I'm
see
sorry,
real
council
estate,
would,
Okay.
excuse me,
that's it.
council would
No,
then agree with
you're
what
not.
you told me. That would be the
Yes, so-
official, that would be the official legal opinion of the city? I'm just trying to find out what the reasoning is behind not having these meetings open to the public, and that is what you just told me, that is the reasoning. Has he muted? Am I muted?
No,
Well,
you're not. You're up here again.
okay,
Go
so,
ahead, sir.
so then, the question I just asked, the explanation that you just gave, that is the city's official explanation for why these meetings were not subject to the open meetings law. Yes?
Can Crystal respond to that?
Yeah.
So my understanding is that this committee, the way it was formed and the basis for this committee is not one that is subject to the open meetings law. However, I haven't been asked to, nor have I looked specifically at this issue. This has been something that's been a longstanding practice that's been prior to my coming in as legal counsel. So, but my understanding is that this committee, as it is formed, is not subject to the open meetings law.
But you agree with the grounds that the council president stated? Because it was
This
dealing
is-
with a real estate transaction.
well, real estate transactions and negotiations and evaluations of bids would not be subject to open meetings. Those can be discussed. Those are subject to closed meetings and executive sessions. So they do not have to be discussed in open meeting. And that is a specific exclusion under the open meetings law.
Okay, well, before I turn over to Matt McGee, who has a totally unrelated question or statement that he would like to make, I would just say that in my reading of the open meetings law, the way to deal with confidential matters is precisely by going into executive session and not holding meetings entirely in secret. And that's all I have to say on this. So no, Matt would like to make a statement.
Yes, I also would ask the question of what are the procedures for selling properties and have they been met in this instance?
One of the main concerns, one of the main.
Oh, I didn't ask you. I asked the legal counsel.
Well, I'm answering you.
I would rather
First of all,
hear it
Crystal
from.
was not our attorney on this matter. It was Andrew Howard, the corporate counsel. So it's really not.
Okay,
something-
well then I'll ask him to write me a letter.
Excellent idea. Thank you.
I wouldn't mind hearing what you claim.
I'd like to add, I would like to congratulate the winners. I guess we call them winners. And I think it would be wonderful to have this. And I don't know how the other participants would have played out. It could have been equally as successful, but I think I have a feeling you're going to do very well. Yeah, it's.
The one legal thing I can address is that when one proposal has a higher price than the other, we have to have a very good reason for coming up and accepting the lower proposal.
Of course.
So that
I mean, I
comes into play
understand,
here.
yeah.
It's pretty simple. Okay, let's move on. Thank you very much. Okay. Resolution. Resolution of the County Commissioner of Deeds. Roll call vote. please.
Councilmember Felton. Aye. Absolute. Aye. Moranci.
Aye.
Lezak.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Verhagen.
Aye.
Roberts. Aye. Browning.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Lolo.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye.
Carried.
The next resolution authorizes the MOA memorandum of agreement. CSDA, civil service. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Felton. Aye. Absolute. Aye. Moranci.
Aye.
Lezak. Aye. Morris. Aye. Verhagen.
Aye.
Roberts. Aye. Browning.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Lolo.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye.
Carried.
The next resolution authorizes a 2026 license agreement with Hudson Sleep Club. Roll call vote, please.
So before we vote, can I make a comment?
Sure.
So, I went back and did a comparison year-over-year, last year to this year. They are very, very comparable. Some increases in, fee schedule, increase in the number of residents we served and so forth. However, since last week, I have found out that there was a proposal from the, Powerboat Club to
Where?
manage the Hudson Powerboat Club.
Submitted to her.
To manage, to you. To manage the docks. And, I've looked at some of that and I think that we ought to take a look at, since there is another proposal for this, I mean, this particular one is almost identical to last year's. I did a side by side. There was just one thing in the resolution that if we do go ahead with it, I would change. I forgot to bring it with me, but in last year's preamble, there was language specifically relating to serving community needs and so forth. There was a paragraph that I would like to see inserted again. But more importantly, I think I would like to see us tabling this so that we can assess the other proposal that is out there from the Powerboat Club.
And get you the procedural problem with that. First of all, it's the mayor who solicits proposals for a license, not the council.
Okay,
We get, the eventual, we have to vote on it. This hasn't even been submitted, so either to the mayor or to us.
You said you had looked at it? Do you have a copy of the resolution?
the resolution before us tonight, I do.
No, the other one that
I
we're
saw
talking about.
something today from Powerboat. I don't have it with me.
You saw something as
From
in
Powerboat, yes.
a resolution.
Where is this?
It was, no, it was
Where is it? Where is?
I don't know who it was submitted to, but it was sent to me, and it relates to management of the docks. No cost to the city. It does not include the same, programming type activity that this particular contract includes, but it addresses management of the docks. Do you have anything to weigh in on that?
If this is not urgent, I agree that we should look at other options and then table it, and then look at other options to table this right now.
We can, there is a need to come to some resolution on this early January or mid-January. Last year we didn't resolve it, I think, until January 25th. But there are some grants that, the Sloop Club would like to apply for, one of which has a deadline in mid-January. So yes, it does have to be addressed by mid-January. But I do think, since this other information came to light, that we should be looking at it.
I just don't understand why, why this other group that wants, to compete in a way with Sloop Club, why did they not bring this resolution? Why they didn't bring the information to the council? Why you received it and not any of us?
Yeah.
It's like strange to me.
I received it from a member of the Powerboat Club.
So I guess we should just go ahead and vote. You can vote now.
They don't address it.
Sorry?
They don't address to anybody, why they address to you?
Well, I've been spoken to today and I was told essentially the same thing. And I was told that a resolution was presented to the president last year.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Last year.
Last year.
Right.
Okay, and was it, I don't remember it being presented to us.
It was presented by a member of the Powerboat Association, but that's not the procedure for putting a resolution before us. There was already the resolution, and it just didn't follow procedure. Because the mayor hadn't called for a new, open bidding on the management of the,
Was there a call this year for open bidding?
no.
But if we have an entity that's interested in presenting services to the city,
That's, I'm trying to explain to you, it's not the procedure. I know.
the procedure appears to be that things get submitted either to
No, the
you,
procedure,
never go anywhere.
no, it's not quite. The procedure seems to be that you want to delay everything until next January. In your recent guise as Mitch McConnell, but that's not how it works.
Well, what I'm worried is that we're gonna bring a tight schedule now for the new council to pass, because Sloop needs that, right? And then what happens? Then what happens if this doesn't pass in time for that?
It was January 25th last year, but this is not a major crisis. The program doesn't begin until the summertime. So yes, there is an application if they want to.
Once again, require the mayor, the existing or the incoming,
Uh-huh.
to open the bidding process. That has not been done.
By either.
Correct.
I wish that the party that is interested to just give us a presentation if there is something. Is tell us what they want. They may not even want that. I don't know.
Okay, if I may, if the Sloop Club, who's been providing programming and been providing adequate service to the city, is hindered by us delaying this, which there is a possibility.
There's a January 14th deadline,
The
yes.
14th deadline, and if we procedurally have to open it up to bidding, there's no way we're gonna meet that deadline.
Well, can we ask him? I mean, do you think the delay would really cause a problem?
I mean, absolutely, the planning takes a while, and, we provide a lot of programming, and it's, funded through grants and all sorts of
Yeah.
activities. And, truthfully, I've had a number of conversations with our council members about this recently, and I think the planning should have already, this should be a fall issue.
Yes.
Like I already think we're too late. It is true that the process goes through the mayor's office, and so that's the process we've been doing, for the last 5 years. It is definitely possible that that process could be modified. There have been years when there have been an open call for proposals, and there's a timeline put on that. My recommendation would be this is a 1-year agreement, and many cities actually do like 3 or 5 year agreements, specifically so that entities who are doing this can plan. I welcome an open process, but I do think delaying this makes next season much more difficult.
And we've had that conversation, but.
Yeah.
So there is just one amendment which you and I discussed in last year's agreement. I think with the fourth whereas, specifically indicated, maybe it's the third, the common council for the city desires to enter into the agreement, to allow for Hudson's Loop Club, to dock boats, etc., and provide river recreation programming for residents and visitors to the city. And I would like to, that language for some reason this year was omitted, and I would like to see that put in again, because that is the purpose of what you do. And I think that belongs in the preamble. Can we make that amendment?
Yes. Do we need,
Motion to.
yeah, motion to, add that to the.
Motion.
You just introduced it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, second. Ronnie, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, let's vote. On the resolution itself.
I think there's a comment here before we vote.
Oh, okay.
Yes, hi, Henry Headed, First Ward, 605 Warren Street. I submitted that to Tom last year. This was voted on in, I believe it was March of last year, was when this agreement took place, and you voted on it last year. So this is December, I understand that. But in a fair and equal process, this should have gone out by the council president or the mayor, and obviously that hasn't happened. At the 11th hour, through the scuttlebutt of Hudson, we heard about this 2 days before the deadline. So I threw a resolution together and gave it to Tom. Obviously, he never disseminated that to the sitting council now. And
Well, it was for back then, it wasn't for now.
it was for them, but at that time, no one here saw it. Is that correct?
It's true.
So.
That's not, I can answer.
Well, you just
It's my
said
meeting.
yes.
You didn't do it properly. That was
Fair
clear.
enough.
Okay,
Fair enough, but if you don't give it to the public, then how could there be a fair and equal process? If it hasn't gone to legal, this is a contract. If it hasn't gone to finance, this is yet a
this has
financial
gone
contract.
this has gone to our attorneys.
Okay, and if it hasn't been publicly offered appropriately, then how could you approve and approach a new year without making it a fair and equal process? The Powerboat Association sees the demand on the river. We see the good programming that the Sloop Club does. This is not to take away from anything the Sloop Club is doing for their programming at the waterfront. And yes, our resolution was not done and not brought before the council yet. And my apologies, because we were under the assumption this would be in March again. And the due process would have been done January, February, voted on in March, as the last year, and consecutive contracts have been executed. So our lawyer has our resolution in the works for January 1st. And I'm so sorry that it is not done yet. But I do believe, since what our resolution holds, of course, you can only take it at face value in my word right now, it is zero expense to the city. It is the proper management and recreational use of those docks, which are underutilized. I personally take the reservations for our club. We have 80 boats minimum a season. I take the extra reservations that can't get to the city docks. I say, please call the Sloop Club. If they can't get one, they come to us. That's just revenue that could be in the city's pocket. We would just like to manage that. We're not taking the Sloop Club away. They run good programming for the Wednesdays, which is the 48-hour overnight dockage, which is free. But the other part of the time, it's a for-profit business. We would just like the opportunity to give you our expertise and do this for free to the city. Thank you.
Sure. Can we have a motion to table this? No, second that.
Second. And then you're,
Well,
hold on a second. All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye. Under that? Okay, all those against? Yeah, oh,
No, I said I.
all right. So I guess we have to roll call vote on the tabling, so I can. Not clear.
Okay, so motions to table, let's see, Jennifer Spelton. Aye. Beth Polluti. Aye. Moranti.
Well, I mean, not to take anything from the sloop club, it's the job they done, right? And if the contract that was signed last year was in March, by doing it this year, how's that, was it in March?
I think it was January.
Yeah, January. So if it's tight like this, but I do agree that if we can make it happen for the sloop club and make it fair for the boat club
Yes.
in January, I think that it's unfortunate that both have to go through this at the 11th hour, right? It really is. And I think Sam said the same thing, that this should have been done 4 or 5 months ago, right? So we're trying to solve problems, right? And I agree that we should table it and do our best to make it a priority for January, that no one gets harmed in terms of any kind of funding.
Is that aye?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Neva.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Hagan.
This process is obviously flawed. A community organization, an association that's been around for years, had expressed interest in getting involved, and they were denied access to this. And that is a prerogative of the mayor, I guess. But I do believe that time is of the essence, and I'm going to vote no.
Roberts. No. Browning.
To vote to table, it's,
Sarver.
yeah, I think this both thing is good. We should table it and look at it and give both of them a chance and see, so we should table it and.
Prioritize.
Yes, prioritize, yeah.
Okay, that's, I would say. Stable. Center, whatever, yes.
Okay. Lawrence. That's,
Thank you.
are you gonna say aye or no?
Aye.
Okay. It is tabled.
Okay, moving right along. Resolution number 4, this is a resolution for Crawford and Associates ADA compliance, the sidewalk improvement district. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Belton. Aye. Beth Polluti. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Neva.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Hagan.
Aye.
Roberts. Aye. Browning.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Bola.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Next resolution supports the state strong packaging reduction of the recycling infrastructure. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Belton. Aye. Beth Polluti.
I just wanted to say I'm very happy that this is finally getting addressed. United States is one of the top 10 waste production in the world, and we only 78% of our plastic gets goes to the recycling, and compared with Sweden, which is number 1, only has 1%. It's really outrageous. And I think there are also things we can do. Now that it's Christmas, everybody buys from Amazon, which is the third leading cause of packaging waste in the United States. There are options you can do so you don't have to package. You can do factory packaging and you don't need the extra packaging. So I just want to say that I'm very happy with that.
Thank you, Vicky, because I was going to mention everything. I already subscribed to their use of their recycling and their repackaging. So it's good to get that out. That is enough. But yes,
Number one is Coca-Cola, but about three is Amazon.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts. Aye. Brownie.
Aye.
Sarwar. Lola.
And this is thanks to Josh Cullen of the city. Aye.
President DiPietro.
Yes, actually, it's, thanks to Rebecca Wolf for mentioning it to Josh Cullen, and I vote aye.
Carried.
The next resolution is for the job control. Services. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Vescalini.
Aye.
Moranti.
do we get reports? Is there any way we can try to get our reports back so that there's a report from him? We used to get. So it would be very helpful in terms of.
Agreed.
So I mean, I agree, but just if we can enforce that, that'd be great.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts. Aye. Brownie.
Aye.
Sarwar.
Aye.
Lola.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye.
Carried.
The next resolution authorizes purchase and sale agreement and license with Niagara Mobile. No, this is the one about.
It's new.
Okay.
This is new.
No,
We discussed it last week.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Vescalini.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts. Brownie.
Aye.
Sarwar.
Aye.
Lola.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye.
Carried.
The next resolution is about new department transfers. May I have an introduction in the second, please? Rhoda and. Krishna. Hey, roll call vote, please.
Can we have a discussion of this?
You sure?
So, this transfer, if you were to pull it up, Cody,
Okay.
during the BEA process, the youth department budget listed 8 full-time positions, 2 of which were listed as vacant. There were in fact at that time 7 full-time employees, and Calvin and I have talked about this. There were in fact 7 full-time employees at the department at that time. Once the budget was presented to the council, procedurally, we could not increase any of the budget. So this individual who is a city employee, there was no financing in the budget to finance that person's position. What we have in front of us, and at that time, the BEA made a decision to do a citywide hiring freeze. No vacant positions were to be filled. All non-union employees were not to receive a raise, which they have received in the past. A lot of very difficult decisions were made, one of which was a hiring freeze. The resolution we have, the transfer we have in front of us, puts funding back into a position that is currently vacant, while other departments are dealing with a hiring freeze. And I think that, yes, the appropriate thing to do is to ensure that the individual who is currently employed in the city, that funding be transferred to ensure that that position continues to be funded. But I do not think that the position that is currently vacant should simply be funded without relooking at what the rules are with regard to that hiring freeze that is in effect across the city. So my recommendation is that we modify this to fund the position that is current for the individual who is currently a city employee, but that we do not put a transfer in to fund a position that is currently vacant during a hiring freeze.
So question, first of all, we received a memo from the mayor saying that we cannot have any more hires, and if there is a new hire, it has to be approved and with a letter from the mayor. So it should be a letter for this. That's procedurally, that's what I think we should do.
Well, if you sign, that's it.
Yeah, so the second thing is I want to ask Calvin, you've been doing the assistant and director now for the last 3 months, and you're doing a wonderful job. Would it be possible to just, continue doing this until beginning of the summer and then see where you stand in order to start thinking about hiring or, hire the assistant director? Would that be possible to do it a few more months, which can save the city a good amount of money at the same time? Instead of expediting the procedure and finding the assistant, you just, be able to do it.
Given, we could assure that we would revisit bringing an assistant director.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's meaningful.
And the other thing, Calvin, is as we look at this, we have to address increasing revenues and we need to keep very close look on our revenues in the next few months. And that will help us address this. But I think if we can postpone this, but certainly if it is going to go through, it has to go through the procedure that Vicky has just outlined. But absolutely, the individual who is currently a city employee, transfers need to be made to ensure that that person's position is funded, because that was just an error. And unfortunately, you did not get a chance to review the BEA's budget before it came to the council. So you would have caught that at that time if that had happened.
But Calvin, what would that amount be? If it was just the one person?
Just one,
It's about 50,000. It's about 50.
yeah, roughly.
The salaries are almost identical in.
Very much so.
They're very close.
So how about, we'll start with the motion to amend the resolution to.
I got some
To
questions.
50,000, and,
Well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let's change the resolution first.
Yes.
That seems to be the.
Well, before we change the resolution, my question.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
you want to-
wait.
oh, okay.
I didn't finish talking. I started talking to Calvin, but I
Oh,
didn't
okay,
really
sorry.
finish
Go ahead.
everything.
Please,
So
go ahead.
first of all, I want to say that you're doing a superb job because you're
Yeah.
doing 2 jobs in one person, and we haven't really addressed that. You were able to transfer the chains was transferred very smoothly, and you also were able to you got rid of having to rent the church, which is really saves us more money. So you have done an amazing job, and I'm just saying, since there was misunderstanding and that the whole BA did not catch this or it wasn't presented by you, I don't know, I don't want to blame anyone, but if we can extend this work you do a few more months until, beginning of the summer, and then you can find, by then, hopefully you can have somebody and you can amend the general fund so you can get to them.
Thank you, Vicky. Yes. Dominic, I can comment.
Yeah, thank you. So, first thing, is Heather on the line?
Yes.
Okay, I do have a question for Heather, but the first thing is that we should, first and foremost, is get the position, which is a union position, I believe it's a rec attendant, whatever position was taken out. We need to put that title and everything back in, but I want to get Heather's input on this, on what it looks like, how much it is, and where it's gonna come from. And we need to make sure, this employee, goes home today with knowing that this holiday is gonna be fine, right? And I think, but on our side, right, it needs to be acknowledged that this council did not create this. Calvin's, doing a great job, but he did not have an opportunity to catch those. So we're trying to fix this mistake. And I think it's very important that we go and do it appropriately and in the guidelines of bringing the title back that was deleted at the position and at the salary that that he's currently getting.
Yeah, I mean, we're not cutting anyone's position.
No,
It
we
was-
have
it was
already.
a total mishap from a lot of different parties, but again, the thing is the outcome. And I don't really think somebody said it would be devastating consequences if that, I think Calvin is holding the fort here and is doing an incredible job. So these devastating situations, I don't see them. So, I mean, I'm just saying for a few more months. You know?
Well, he also has good support staff, which is also helping Calvin too, right? He's got some good support staff behind him, right? And I think that, to make sure that staff stays together, is one thing if we can do, we should make it happen.
Rick?
I think Gary had his hand up.
Nick had it first.
Right, but Gary's on the council.
I defer to Nick.
Nick Satos, former director of the youth department, and I think Calvin's doing the absolutely right thing and deferring to the council and being diplomatic. As a former director of the youth department, and the person who created the assistant director position, I would say that I think it's very dangerous to put Calvin in a position where he goes into planning for summer camp, when he's gonna be in charge of hundreds of youth, and has a full-time staff that essentially doesn't have a true supervisory role. He'll have rec attendants, full-time rec attendants. He will be hiring and then supervising over 50 staff for the summer. Lifeguards, junior rec attendants, part-time people, and he will not have another supervisory person helping him in that role. And if the council thinks they can get the whole thing together, and then if he feels like he needs it, as summer camp is coming, can go through the whole process, which is the civil service process, I remind you, of bringing on an assistant director in time to onboard them and then run that summer camp, which is what the assistant director does. The assistant director manages that huge, entire, very young staff that's in charge of all of those kids on the beach, in the water, and everywhere else. I think that's a lot for the common council to take on. And I think that this position needs to be funded. I think it was wrong for the assistant director position to be taken out of this budget, and I think that it needs to be put back in. Just because Calvin has stepped up into that role and the position was vacant, doesn't mean you cut it. If we put both of these positions back in, as this resolution says, I think the hiring freeze is still on, whether this mayor's signature counts or whether the next mayor has to approve an actual hire, I think is what would happen. And there's not going to be a hiring that could happen before January. The next mayor gets to approve that hire, has to approve that hire. I think that's how it should happen, but I think to leave Calvin without an assistant director right now, without the funding to do that, and at the whims of the council, and whether the council can help him put that together by summer, I think it's dangerous for the summer camp and for the youth in Hudson.
So I don't know, right now we're left with the current director saying he can do it for a few more months, and then the past director saying you have to do it now. It's
Well, there is, Gary.
Calvin, if there was no assistant hired, can you do both? Can you do the summer program?
Yeah, can do my job, without a doubt. But it would be helpful to have someone to the board.
Helpful or necessary?
Yeah, that's the thing. One at a time.
Yeah, in an ideal world, the responsibility would be conducted by our assistant director.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not finished. So you have a lot of kids swimming and everything. We have people who are assigned to it. But you would, if we do not have a person in that position, you would be the supervisor.
Indeed.
Okay. No, I'm not. So I'm just trying to process all this. So I'm not sure, because I'm worried about those kids. So let's say we need somebody. how, someone said it's a civil servant position, and they need to be trained by you. So when does this person should come on board?
I would say by spring, provided, camp takes place in, August, or, excuse me, July.
Should be by April, May.
Yeah, I would say by May.
Yeah,
so I think a month.
that's exactly what I said before.
So,
So I think it should be May.
so
One second, Jennifer, I have a hand up.
sorry, Jen.
Okay, when do you usually start planning for summer?
Yeah, April,
April?
yeah,
And when do the civil service tests take place?
that we have no influence on.
Right, but do you know what the schedule for that is? That we have a goal to meet. We have a goal to meet financially so that we can,
I would
Yeah,
have to,
this is the-
I'd have to get back to you.
okay. Does anybody else know?
Well, it could be provisional, right? It's a testable position, but it can be provisional. And it's already established in the civil service system. My thing is that I think that we should prioritize this in January. And while we're gonna be a little bit more, see what our finances look like, and with partial sale done, right? It allows us to have a little flexibility financially. But we definitely need to, because there's a prep period. So I think if we can address this no later than the February meeting. So we put this in place, we get all the ducks in a row. And so Calvin has enough time to do the process, right? Because the process would be, interviewing or whatever, right? So I think that financially, we need to make sure that we have something to put into this. I think right now, we're not in, it, right? We're gonna have to go and take both these positions and take it out of the general fund again, right?
Sure.
And I think that with again, we're talking about a sale of the Dunn building. It's gonna give us infusion of revenue. We'll be more financial. It will be more of an opportunity for us to be a little more sound financially. But again, this 11-hour stuff concerns me because we don't want to make a mistake. And we want to make sure January, this is prioritized. We definitely, and I'll make sure, Calvin, that's in January, because it is very important that the assistant director is in place, if that's the case. He acts as camp director through the Department of Health that we talked about position.
Yes, he or she, that's true.
Yeah, well,
So, I was talking about.
yes.
Does that mean you support financing the other position tonight?
No,
No, yes, to bring back the title of rec attendant 3,
Yes,
yes,
okay.
right, because we need to right that wrong,
I just,
right? That's a union position. And, we need to right that wrong. And again, that's gonna take a little bit of chunk, and again, give us some breathing room for next year.
Thank you. Margaret?
yeah, so as we look at this, Calvin, and I've talked for this, when we go through in the spring, as we relook at the assistant director situation, there is a process for essential positions. There is a hiring fee, but there is a process for essential positions subject to mayoral approval and so forth, which Vicky alluded to. And so that's the process that we will need to talk to. But in terms of the resolution itself, it currently says the youth department inadvertently omitted funds for 2 existing personnel lines. I think that should read inadvertently omitted funds for 1.
Existing positions.
It's not these are existing positions.
No, yes,
No,
it
hang
is.
on a second,
No,
hang on a second.
what I'm.
They're not necessarily filled. I want to, let me change the language. Omitted funds for 1 existing and occupied position,
Yes,
because that's critical. This individual is
absolutely.
currently a city employee.
right.
And so therefore, and in terms of the actual dollar amount, I think we can put in an estimate of 50,000, but that needs to go back to Heather for the actual dollar amount, because she has the salaries and it also has to flow into all of the benefits and everything else.
I think we also should put, because of the important necessity, the union position, right? Because that also adds
I
to.
don't think we need to get in.
Let's just better
Keep it
sometime.
simple,
Yeah.
make sure that the
Okay.
existing build position is getting funded and we're done.
So can I get a motion to change the resolution like Margaret just stated?
What's the title, Calvin? The title position that was deleted, that is,
The rec attendant position,
yeah,
it's a rec attendant, I believe
3, right?
3, yeah.
Let's put that in there.
Okay, so omitted funds for 1 rec attendant, 3 position, which is currently occupied.
Correct.
And then we're done, and then Heather can come up with the exact dollar.
Would I get a motion and an injection a second to add that resolution, Jennifer and Dewan? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Right.
Opposed? Okay, now we'll vote on the revised resolution. Roll call vote.
Are we doing a dollar amount not to exceed?
No, let's just put it out,
Just put-
let's
Okay.
put it in at 52,000, right? And Heather can figure out what exactly. Heather will fix it.
Heather's on it.
But you can't ask her on the fly to come up with the exact dollar amount.
Okay, where's that? The vote, please.
Councilmember Dodson,
Aye.
Jessica Lewin. Aye. Moranti,
I know, hopefully the employee goes home, with a little less stress. Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Hagan.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Brony.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Bola.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye, and I'm really counting on Dominic to put it forward in January, as he promised.
Well, Calvin knows how I roll, right?
Thank you, Dominic. Okay, moving right along. Another budget amendment to include hospitalization in cemetery. Excuse me, what?
Saying good night. He just said.
I know. An introduction, a second. Lola. And. Gary. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Jessica Lewin.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Brony.
Is there a mistake on here? Are they both increases? Wouldn't there be one increase, one decrease?
No,
They both, oh,
Cause it's a fun fan.
now the second line is where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It's increased line where it's coming from, increased line where it's coming from.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Bola.
Aye.
President DiPietro.
Aye.
Barry.
Next resolution is a budget amendment to increase attorney fees in the general fund.
Can I ask a question here?
On this?
Huh?
Can I get an introduction a second first?
Oh, yeah, I know.
An introduction a second? Hold on, and,
Okay.
yeah, yes.
So
question.
why do we constantly, you wonder why the general fund is down? Every other month, we have to increase the fund for the balance for money to the attorney fees. What is this attorney fee now? And can we, is it future money or we have to pay them? Is it for services that they're done?
I assume so, let's just have it.
I
I got it for this year.
Heather,
Is it much fun?
you're there, I think.
About 26.
Sorry, you're talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're fine here.
I would say that approximately half of that is for work that has already been conducted, and the other half, or a little more than half, is a estimate of what the December account will be. The clerk's office provided me with the invoices that they had been provided through November, and I made an estimate for December.
And Vicky, I just looked at the bills, the legal bills, but some of this relates to litigation.
So is that the litigation? Is that for the delinquent taxes? What is this 35,000 now? Do you know?
I mean, I don't know. I have no control over that budget. I have no insight or oversight over the invoices or the attorneys and how they are engaged. I will note, however, though, there has been litigation. There has been litigation in terms of assessments and values, and you've approved costs associated with that. There's also been, obviously, you just approved the CSEA contract, so legal negotiations would be part of that. I'm not sure when you did the HPD one, but if it was in this year, that would have added to that cost as well.
Yeah, well, not this year.
Is it
But
the
there-
council,
but
is it, how about the common council?
There is in Article 78, in the bills today, there is a substantial amount of money in Article 78 litigation.
Mhm.
So this is where it is. That was why I was looking at.
Yeah, I think for the next council, it's good to keep track of the legal fees.
Yes.
Somebody has to do that. Who can do that?
Legal coming.
Legal or finance?
Finance.
Finance.
Finance needs, I mean,
Have to meet too.
huh?
Roll call vote. Do you have the two?
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Sessaludi.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Rome.
Aye.
Sauer.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DePietro. Carry.
The next is a budget transfer for payout of pools. Introduction and second, please. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Sessaludi. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Rome. Sauer.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carry.
The next is a contract for Columbia Green Humane Society at BTA. Can I move to no second, please? All volunteer ones. Yes, Gary. Is that really that trying? Any questions? Roll call.
Yeah, I have a question.
There you go.
So if a dog is picked up in Hudson and delivered to them, 10 days' time, we're gonna owe $1,000.
I actually agrees. I can't recall.
Yeah, I mean, there's a formula. I'm just wondering, do we know how much we spent last year?
Heather? You there?
Here, and I do not know the answer to that.
I thought we were gonna put something back to cover that money from the old.
Yeah, we did it into the fee schedule, which we will be voting on in January.
There you go.
We have a fee schedule ready to go where all of those monies are going to have to come from Doggone. Doggone has to cover the costs.
Yeah.
We find the dog.
Well, if we don't, then it gets surrendered.
Our backup plan is that the dog goes home with you.
Yeah, you feed.
You did the phone.
You think they're doing.
Don't tempt me.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Sessaludi.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Rome.
Aye.
Sauer.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carry.
Next resolution is DPW transfers. Can I have an introduction and a second, please? Roland Dewan. The roll call vote, unless there's questions.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Sessaludi. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Rome.
Aye.
Sauer.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carry.
And the next is a fire department transfer. Can I have an introduction and a second, please? Jennifer. And Gary. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Sessaludi.
Aye.
Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Fernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Rome.
Aye.
Sauer.
Aye.
Volo.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carry.
The next three resolutions you'll recall were all decided, or I shouldn't say decided, were all discussed in executive session. And this is how the council wanted to move forward. Can I have an introduction and a second on the first settlement? Ron?
And Karen. Questions? A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Beth Bowie. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Kernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Brony.
Aye.
Farmer.
Aye.
Vola.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carried.
And the next one is also a initiative, Foundation Article 7 settlement. Can I have an introduction and a second, please? On and. Good.
Sorry.
Any questions? A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Beth Bowie. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Kernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Brony.
Aye.
Farmer.
Aye.
Vola. President DePietro.
Aye. And the next one, and hopefully the last one in our time. Introduction and second, please. Ron? Ready?
Gary.
Karen? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Beth Bowie. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
Kernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Brony.
Aye.
Farmer.
Aye.
Vola.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay, there's two last, I think we'll do the bills first and then we have to go into executive session for one thing. But can I have an introduction and a second to pay them? Gary? Devon? Question?
Can we do public comment before we go to second session?
Sure, we can do that.
Wait,
We can do that.
why do we have about the bills?
I'm sorry.
Question about the bills.
Right.
Why we have two separate invoices from Bailey, Johnson and Peck, law firms, the law firm. One is for $2,338, the other is $7,860.
I assume they cover different months.
Actually, Tom, I can answer that if that's okay.
Oh, okay.
One of them comes out of an escrow that was funded by the developer for Penrose to cover the environmental review work for the council. So that's actually not coming out of city funds. The developer did fund that. And the other one is legal counsel fees that span 2 months.
For November and December, you mean?
I'm
You
sorry?
said for 2 months.
It's
The-
October and
The other
November.
one is legal. What?
Yes. so-
Yeah.
October.
And the other one
Any other
is
questions?
the other one is legal that comes out of escrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Crystal.
What is Frank Fosberg and Sons?
It's the contractor for the sidewalk work,
Okay, and then Marshall and Sterling
insurance.
Insurance.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Belton.
Aye.
Descalini. Aye. Moranti.
Aye.
Mizan.
Aye.
Morris. Aye. Kernhagen.
Aye.
Roberts.
Aye.
Bruni.
Aye.
Sarver.
Aye.
Vola.
Aye.
President DePietro.
Aye.
Carried.
So before we go into executive session, general comments from the council and then the public. Anything council would like to bring up? Public, any public commentary tonight? Mr. Foster?
Question, about the, something you just voted on, but didn't ask it ahead of time, so it's not good, but you mentioned, the resolutions that were mostly decided in executive session.
Not decided.
Well,
We we've consulted on them and this is the action of the city making it now. I mean, we kind of, how would you describe that, Crystal?
well, I was gonna ask. before
There
you
was,
answer,
yeah,
Was there heavy, influence on, legal opinions about the way it proceeded?
Yes. That's what Crystal was not our attorney, we have a special, thing on this, on assessments. And
No gunshots.
Article 7, I mean.
You would have loved it. The dog was in a hotel.
It was random.
That's all, thank you. Okay, got it? Yes.
I just had a question on the Dunn warehouse proposal. My understanding of the previous round of this was that only lease deals were an option because it was waterfront property that could not be sold by the city. And I just want to understand what had changed or like why it switched from like a lease to a sale.
No, it's not waterfront property.
Okay, but that like was my previous understanding of why.
No, it was long term. We were trying to get a lease, but that would have meant ongoing revenue, rather than outright sale. It's just, it's very hard, as everyone attested, very hard to fund a project.
Are you talking about Don here?
Yeah,
Yeah, so the issue was that the banks would not provide funding to a leaseor without the city co-signing.
Yeah.
Because the city owned the property.
Okay, what I just said.
It was a simple.
Any other public comment? Oh, yes, Lloyd, lovely to have you.
No, thank you. And Tom, thank you for your glorious and wonderful service. And we're all gonna miss you. And happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the appropriate Bengali holidays to everyone, and a joyous and delightful new year. And Tom, thank you, because you certainly made this exciting.
You're welcome, Lloyd.
Yeah.
My primary aim has always been to make life exciting for you.
And are you on the radio Thursday?
No,
No?
I will be in transit.
Okay.
Okay, so no more public comment. We're gonna go, can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss yet another, Article 7.
We will come back and discuss the resolution regarding the SID budget. It's on the agenda here. House Crawford, wasn't it? What's the SID proposed budget?
That was the beginning,
I'm checking myself into a hospital.
that was the very beginning.
Discussion around it.
Figuring all that work is done.
I don't.
How long you been going executive session?
Yeah, right.
Five, so.
Hey, George.
Oh, yeah.
Good job.
I got it.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I mean,
Well, yeah.
there's a resolution on it.
Yeah.
No, no, I need to,
We have a
I
special
need,
meeting.
I need a vote and approval on the SID budget.
Yeah.
That's a special meeting this Monday.
We did it.
That's a special meeting on Monday.
We, hey, Tom, the budget that has been put together,
25th on 22nd.
that's when we vote on it, after the public hearing.
It's gonna be, right, Monday. public
Sorry,
hearing.
guys. I'm seeing, oh, just as communication. I've had a hard week. On Tuesday.
If you want, while we're doing this, can you pass this around? This is to certify the vote. Election results.
Can we do this in executive session?
What?
Can we do this in executive session?
Yeah, it's not a debatable thing, it's just a formality.
Yeah, certified.
Okay, so, everybody, okay, Crystal.